think the remote work environment is one that is the most important, biggest change, biggest dynamic, and not just remote work, but remote life in all of its forms. As we look forward years in the future, 2020 will not be the peak year forever for remote work or online education. We've seen just a preview of how much it could be in permanently, right? So we're going to get to these levels. Whether they are maintained in 2021, I think is a bit less likely, but the trajectory of continued remote life, people have seen this, people have changed the way they work, live, go to school. All of those things are going to be impactful for how people think about their lives, how people spend their money, where they go to school. That will impact people's lives for decades. This is also something that will depend very much by country and economy. In the United States, we've seen a huge impact already in 2020. We're going to probably see even more of it in 2021. Smaller cities, suburban areas, rural real estate, those have gone up a lot more.
Oh, really?
Meanwhile, rents in cities like New York and San Francisco have gone down. I think they're down like 30%. So, but meanwhile, the prices of properties in rural or suburban areas are up 15, 20, 30% or more. So we're seeing that here. I don't know what the real estate markets in Korea look like, but I think we're going to see more of it in the year ahead. And I think we'll see people also prefer bigger homes, more square footage. If everyone is in one place, you want that place to be a little bit bigger. And if you don't have to commute to work, you can live further away because you don't go there very often, right? So I think we're seeing that right now in the United States. And what you might be in the office a couple times a month, maybe once a week, maybe you just have an offsite for a few days, once a quarter, right? And it's just a different way of interacting. And the rest of the time you're remote. Most people communicate with their clients, customers, colleagues by email anyway. Even if you're in the same building, that's what people have been doing for decades. So I think a lot of this is just taking the technology opportunities to save people's time and increase convenience and take it to the next level, right? So you might have people with more flexibility, right? Instead of having to ask your boss, hey, I want to go visit my parents 3.5 weeks from now for 2 days. Can I have a day? Can I have 2 days off in a month or 2 months or 3 months? You don't have to do that anymore. If you work remotely, you can just go visit your relatives, right? I believe in office environments, sometimes people's work might be overlooked. And that might be because maybe when you're in an office, some people might be more extroverted, or they might have a bigger personality, or there can also be the way gender is treated differently sometimes by folks in an office environment. And when you're working remotely, those things matter less. People are looking more at the work you produce. They're reading their emails more, which is something sometimes people in offices don't always do. And some of the gender bias or other biases you might find in an office, that's a lot different when it's remote. And I think people are perhaps evaluated more on what they produce rather than by what they say or how they seem or how they project their personality in an office. Yeah, I think that remote education, online education is something we're just going to see a lot more of. It's been growing for many years. It will continue to grow. I think there's tremendous opportunities, and perpetual learning just becomes much more important. And you can't really just rely. I mean, governments can provide retraining, companies can provide online education or retraining. There's all kinds of things that can happen. But the way it will happen is some form, no matter how the access is determined or who pays for it, those are different questions. But the ability to access education online means you can be continually retooling for new and different jobs and advancing your career without having to just stop your education, right? You finish high school, you finish college, and never again. people have to always be learning. And that's really something that the future will continue to require, embracing new technology, learning new things, being adaptable, being agile. These are going to be really critical dynamics, and they'll just become more important. So I think there are a few industries that are going to be really important if people are looking at, they're trying to strategize, being familiar with data, focusing on technology, or focusing on healthcare. I think those are really big. I also think project management is going to be increasingly critical. So being able to manage people, manage a process, independently learn, or be able to work close with high personal contact, those are kind of the mix of things that jobs will require. We know that the volume of data is going up. We know that AI and other technologies are getting stronger. That's fine. If you work data science, statistics, economics, those are all going to be important fields, but also obviously anything in ICT, technology, computer programming, or healthcare. And of course, project management, because for every remote team that we see working, they also need accountability. You need someone as a coach, essentially, to make sure you're moving everything along. And that's what a lot of different project management roles look like, whether we're talking about product management, program management, or general project management. It's still about managing people and a team and a process. And you don't need to be in person for that. And of course, the more remote teams you have, the more you need someone making sure everyone is doing what they're supposed to be doing and moving forward. So this is just about an iterative project process that we're, I think, going to see be more popular. But all of those areas look poised for significant growth in the decade ahead and beyond.